Hello, House Churches. This is the House Church video for February 12, and this is an up week. And the focus this week is on hearing God and hearing God speak to us. Throughout the sermon series that we've been a part of for the last few weeks, the Re-Enchantment series, we've been looking at the different ways that our society around us and the things that we do regularly inform us and change the way that we live our lives. And we've been talking about Christian practices or Christian exercises that kind of enchant in us a desire for what God desires in us. We've been talking about, in a sense, Christian weightlifting exercises for our souls and our spirits. These are things like generosity. What do you need to do to increase the generosity in your life? Or silence and the connection of silence and prayer. Or gratitude and the connection of gratitude and joy. Or fasting and how fasting trains our bodies, trains our minds and our bodies, so that we're able to withhold from ourselves things that may not be the best for us. This spiritual exercises, spiritual practices, these are really good things for us. What Nathan said last week was really important for us to hear, that these practices aren't the goalposts of the Christian life. They aren't the whole goal of the Christian life. So it leads me to my question for this week. What is the goal of a Christian life? What is the maturity of a Christian life? What does that result in for us? And the light bulb came on for me when I turned to the text that speaks of the goal of the Christian life, the result, if you will, in terms of mystery. This comes from Colossians chapter 1, and I think it's really important for us to hear this. The mystery of the Christian life, the goal of it, is that we would be united with Christ. So the idea of a list of things that we have to do, those aren't the goal of the Christian life. Instead, what matters is that we are united with Christ, that we are one with Him. Now that's a difficult concept for us to get a hold of. It's hard for us to know, what do I have to do to become united with Him? How does that work in my day-to-day life? Tuesday coffee, how do I make sure I'm united with Christ here in this moment right now? And the language of mystery is really important. Coming out of Colossians 1, the light bulb came on for me when I paid attention to the difference between mystery and magic. Magic is this idea that if we make an incantation, if you get the right ingredients together, if you follow the recipe, you're going to get the result you wanted. That's magic. It's actually a lot like science. But mystery, on the other hand, is something deeper. Something that I think has a richness to it that nothing else can touch. And so the mystery of union with Christ provides us with 4 things that I think are really important for us to be able to understand what does it mean to be united with Christ and how do we get into that? How do we participate in it? For first, mystery is something that is hidden. It's not something we can figure out on our own, like science. It's something that God has to reveal to us. This means that we get to receive it as a gift. That provides us with a lot of freedom from having to try to get it ourselves. The second thing coming out of mystery is that mystery is something we cannot grasp. We can't contain it. We can't own it. This allows God to be God and me to be me, someone who lives under God. He has the ultimate responsibility for things. This is also a gift to me and gives me a same sort of freedom as the hiddenness being revealed to me. The third thing that mystery gives to us that helps us understand what it means to be united with Christ is that there's ambiguity in mystery. There's a sense in mystery in which the meanings aren't always crystal clear. It can mean one thing and 2 or more things at the same time. That's hard for us to hold on to. It makes us feel uncomfortable. But the gift that it gives to us is a depth of beauty that we wouldn't otherwise have. C.S. Lewis captures it so well when he writes that I wouldn't have understood how beautiful the love was if it wasn't for the depth and the darkness of the pool that was right beside the beautiful land of love. It makes us uncomfortable to hear that. Ambiguity is never a pleasant thing, but it is beauty. It adds a richness to beauty that we wouldn't otherwise have, and it allows us to see the beauty of being a mortal human being, gifted with the life of God. The fourth thing mystery gives to us is paradox. The idea of paradox is 2 statements that seem in contradiction to one another but are held and presented as though they are both true at the same time. The great paradox is, of course, the crucified Messiah. How can someone who is supposed to save us be crucified and die? the mystery that is paradox and the way that paradox allows us to enter into the mystery of being united with Christ is so very important, because it allows us to make sense of something that otherwise we couldn't understand, or it would be impossible. The idea that God could become a human being, or that God's Holy Spirit could come and be within me. These are paradoxes. But in living in those paradoxes, what we find is that the mystery gives us life, gives us something we couldn't otherwise have. The arrow coming for me out of this is to recognize that the deep mystery of union with Christ is not something that I have to do on my own. It's not something that I have to lift. It's a weight that's far greater than I can hold up on my own. Instead, this is a mystery that we enter into together. And so continuing this series of reenchantment, coming out of it, what we're going to be doing is we're changing a little bit of our practices on Sunday morning. We're going to be doing some things a little bit differently in our worship services. And the idea here is that we are going to be doing the heavy lifting of mystery and formation into that mystery together. So what these practices do is they help us to feel, to know some of that mystery of union with Christ as we do them together. And I would encourage you, as you come to these Sundays, as you come to the next few Sundays over this course of this series, that you would enter into the mystery with us all together with a sense of openness and receptivity, to allow God to be God. This is where the mystery truly takes effect, where we cease to try to control our own self-improvement in what it means to be Christ-like, and allow ourselves to be united with Him, and by His Spirit, He will form in us the character traits, the qualities that are indeed Christ-like, so that we would reflect His image. This is the way that we can indeed be mature Christians, growing ever more fully into Him who is our head. May God's peace be with you all.